Oh my goodness. They just really, it counts you in and they just throw you in. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Let's see who we have here. We got a bunch of great folks here, and I feel very, very happy and honored to be amongst such amazing and incredible people. We had amazing talks prior, and here I am. It's incredible to be here. So I want to start this talk off on the right foot. And how I want to do that is just for the sake of the spirit of the conversation I'd like to have. Is anybody who is listening or actively in chats, I'd like you to introduce yourself. It's just a little way for me to get an idea who's in the chat. I'd love to meet you and I'd love to get to know you. I'm going to continue with my talk and talk about relationship building, but if you are not shy, feel free to say hi. It's nice to meet you. So, a bit about myself. I'm Richard. I work for Akupara Games. I do their marketing, their PR, and I maintain relationships between content creators and press, and I develop and drive our marketing plans from start to finish. Hi, Charles from Montreal. Hi, I'm Richard. Nice to meet you. As far as background, I come from a variety of fields. It's a crazy mix, but bear with me here. I've come from anywhere from starting from a retail job, and I made my mark in print and graphic design. I started doing design for Man of Steel. I helped design the posters and print that. It was really fun. And then I ended up in Twitch as a full-time broadcaster, which was nothing on the radar for me. I quit my job suddenly and started broadcasting on Twitch for 4 years, and then met my now boss, David, who saw potential in what I was endeavoring to do. I wanted to get into industry, had no idea how to do it, so I took a chance. I put myself out there, and I ended up at Akupara Games as a community manager / content creator manager, and then now my current position as a marketing strategist. Oh my gosh, look at the chat explode. I love it. Howdy, Branko. Hi, how are you? Pat from Toronto. I'm from Toronto too. Akupara Games is from Los Angeles, but I work remote from my home here in Toronto, Ontario, so it's nice to meet you. Hernando, hi. Colombia, my goodness. New Jersey, good to see you. Gabe from New England. Say hi to Ian for me. I promise I will. So many great people here. I am so excited. And the reason why I asked you to introduce yourselves is you never know who's in the chat that you could potentially be friends with or already know. And I understand that we all come from different personality types. I'm a very extroverted person, but you may be introverted and you don't really want to talk up in chat, and that's completely fine. Please don't feel pressure to do that, but I'd like to encourage you to say hi because it's always nice to meet new friends, especially during these times. Wouldn't you agree? Hello, James. Hi, Lulu. Nice to see you again. Oh, hey. Good to see you. This is definitely the spirit of the conversation here, because drawing from all my experiences from my careers, from retail to, Twitch, one thing stood out to me as being extremely important. It's the professional relationships that I've made, relationship building, whether it would be people I met, who I've worked with, had some correspondence with, any level in that realm. This resulted in some sort of connection I had with them that I take with for life. Even right now, I endeavor to have some level of a connection with them. Not just hi, hello, how are you, but really get to know them and, have a relationship, a professional relationship with them. Hi, Brian. It's good to see you. That's from the Sheep's Meow. It was nice meeting you at PAX. It's good to see you again. Hi, Vicky. Welcome. Welcome. Oh my gosh. Yes. But I really want to, push this message home. Because isn't it nice to have people who can trust you and then you trust them? Isn't it nice to be trusted? It's a staple to have a contact in any industry, but focusing on the quality of that connection is the main idea here. Are they just a name in a sea of emails? Or do you have something that connects you to them, that makes them stand out over your other contacts? Who are we to them and vice versa? I'd like to focus on making better, more genuine, and outstanding relationships in this industry. Are you guys with me so far? Because let's start from the beginning. So I broke this talk down into 3 parts. We'll start with 1, which is establishing a relationship. The basics. I'm not here to insult anyone's intelligence by telling you how to become friends with somebody, but I'm going to just start from the beginning for the sake of keeping things simple and streamlined. So hang on. The statement I want to make here is, it's easy to make connections. It's difficult to maintain them. Easy to make them, difficult to maintain them. Have you noticed this? We attend all these events, functions, mixers, industry events, and we work on a project, and we get along fantastically. But when things are all said and done, sometimes we don't engage past that. Why? It's difficult, you may say, if you don't have a common interest or a goal anymore, but what if you genuinely enjoyed the interaction with that person and potentially want to work with them again? Right now, it's difficult. The world has, as we know it, has collapsed, and we're in a pandemic. Some of us don't live next to each other. It's just hard, and I might hit people's feels right now by saying sometimes we're just engulfed with work. One's in chat if you agree with me on that. And sometimes we're really shy. We really want to connect with somebody, and the sentiment is shared. I want to work with you again, or I like you. I think you're a fantastic person. But, you don't, it's hard to be the first one to say it. It's awkward. It's difficult. But I found that in my case, being the first one, at least in my opinion, to just let someone know that you enjoyed working with them and you want to see them again in any circumstance really does something different. Because now that person knows you enjoy the interaction. It's out in the open. It's not a secret because people can't read your minds. And you've now established something. You've established a base to work on for a fantastic relationship. Yeah. So the main thing here is I endeavor to have relationships over contacts. Don't have a sea of contacts that you can just hit up and hope for the best. Endeavor to have a relationship. Because an email can be sourced, a relationship cannot. And a little can go a long way. So I'm not saying you have to be awfully grandiose in your approach. The simple things matter, and we'll dive into that a little bit later. A good analogy that I want to use here is sometimes it doesn't require fire to burn a bridge. Sometimes without the proper maintenance, it'll just fall apart. So what do your bridges look like?
Hi, Richard.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. You're talking about relationship building. I am terrible with following up with people, right? That is plus I know so many people, and then I'll be like, oh guys, it's someone I haven't seen in a long, long time. For
Right.
example, talking to you this morning, I was like, oh yes, and my memory's just terrible. But
Y- You want to know something funny, Dan?
mm.
The irony of you talking about following up is literally my next point.
See,
It's
yeah,
act
I did something good here. Here, let's put that background up. There we go.
ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement. We have a background.
We have a background right
We have a
now.
background. And the follow up is a very important thing, Dan. I totally agree, but it's not necessarily the follow up, it's how you do it. Because we can often have the usual. I think a follow up is more like a formality at this point, where you receive a contact, you like them, you follow up with them, and you hope for the best. Just like an obligatory email. But what I'm endeavoring for us to try is make it personalized. Personalize that email so that person remembers you. You put that bug in the air to kind of go, oh, yes, it's that guy from that place or it's that girl from that place. You know, bring up at least one thing you enjoyed about the interaction if you're following up with someone is a definite plus, because I can't tell you how many times that I've had a ridiculous conversation about I had a conversation about a scarf.
Uh-huh.
And we talked about scarves and fashion for hours. And this person is well known and they've probably communicated with hundreds of people. But when I followed up in that email and I brought up that specific story about the scarf, they're like, oh my God, yes, you, hello. So nice to hear from you. It's really important to just personalize that message so they not only remember you, but you continue your correspondence going forward and telling them how to stay in touch, not telling them to. You know how you usually have that little end at your email that says, hey, keep in touch, and then
Yeah.
you end it? No, tell them how to stay in touch. You can reach out to me, here's my Discord information, here's my email. If you really got on with them and you want to talk to them again, here's an email or a phone number. Just give them something that they can work off of is very important. So
All right,
be
here,
personal.
let me pop up this question from Evil Gizmo here. Is it all right to follow up if you don't really have any specific next step or need anything? I usually try to ping folks after conventions just to say hi, make sure they have my info, and that I enjoyed meeting them. I think that's a good idea.
Is it all right to follow up if you don't really have any next specific step? No, absolutely. Like, following up for the sake of following up or just saying hi or checking in is a fantastic way. It's a very simple way of doing it. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Following up regardless is a good thing.
Do you keep like a
Everyone.
database of people that you've met and like write notes about them?
Oh my God. For me personally, it's not a database per se because I'm so active on socials and I invite people to add me on my socials. Animated break. It's it's that's my way of keeping tabs on what's going on, and that in itself is important because I want to get personal with you, but only as much as you're comfortable sharing with. And social media is perfect because that person has control over how much information they want to share, and that I have an opportunity to interact with them from a
Right.
comfortable standpoint.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I do have another tip though. Like if you are a database information type person, right? If
Mhm.
you make a Google form that is just for you, right? A Google form that is like, oh, from this convention, I met this person, and you put that into a spreadsheet, and then you put like notes about the person just to remind it. And then if you go through it later on and just look through it, and you will be surprised how quick you have 1,000 people that you know, right? That
Right.
you know on some kind of personal level. And that's if you are a database type of person. I did that I call it a personal CRM, which I don't know if that's exactly what it is because it's not marketing, but it's like a personal, my personal database of people because when I go to a convention, I'm like you said, you meet like 100 people. and it's actually pretty hard to remember every single person all the time. Like when I saw, I knew your name and I was like, God, I couldn't pin it. But when I saw you, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember him. Um, so yeah, I mean, that is, and everyone has their own system.
Yep.
Social media works, but honestly, I have not been on, I've like stayed away from social media for the past several months. Every once in a while, I'll look at Twitter and I'll like something, but I don't think I have a post on there in a long time on Facebook or even on Twitter or whatever. You're a huge data minded person. You love that. Sure. If you just write a Google form for yourself, and I used to do that at every convention. I would get on because I like business cards. People say business cards are an antiquated way to connect with people. But for me, it's like something that is tangible. And then I would have a stack, and then I would go through it, and then I would, reach out to people. Hey, it was good. I did it was great meeting you. A little bit of personal stuff. Cabinets. I have a super hard time keeping up with people because I steer away from social media. I just can't get into it. That's how I feel right now. I just can't get into it right now.
It's very difficult if you're not. The one thing I want people to get out of this conversation is the basics of how I personally approach my relationship building, because at some point we do have to communicate on somewhat of a deeper level with people that we work with if we want that level of connection with someone. But if it's not a part of your personality type, take away what I'm telling you as much or as little as you need. Approach it in your own way. I purposely did not include any notes or anything like that for that very reason. I want you to focus on the message and then apply it to however you feel most comfortable.
All right. Do you want to answer this question here real quick before
Sure.
You go on? Vixen Gamer, any advice on how to start a relationship in the first place?
Oh my gosh, yes. So it all depends when or where and how it's taking place. Most of my relationships happen at events or a mixer, just usually a place where I'm actually meeting people. That's where I make the majority of my connections. Sometimes it's over emails. Say I'm working with a client or a partner and we have a correspondence. I usually, go that extra mile if, especially if it's closing out and we're not going to talk again. I thank them. I send them a little thank you, and I create a bridge so that they have an open way of communicating with me. Social media, if you're a social media person, I don't want to really lean on that example too hard, but what a fantastic way to make new friends and connections, because someone will post their thoughts, you can connect with them and agree, disagree, have a conversation, and if you both have a mutual like for what you're both having a conversation about, follow each other and then go from there, and then endeavor to perhaps connect with them in the future.
All right. And it's all about reading the room for,
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people, and I'm not being stereotypical, but if people from the West Coast seem to be a little bit more laid back and a little bit more chatty, a lot of people on the West Coast are really just like down to business. And it's all definitely read the room for sure.
Absolutely read the room, because if someone is being very like short and terse, it's all in that follow. Actually, the closing point for the follow-up is that's the entry point to a closing point, or entry or a closing point to most connections. You'll know if the feelings are mutual depending on their response, and just be cognizant of it. If they close that conversation off, respect their space. And it's okay. The world's a big place, so don't take it personal. We can't be friends with everyone. Right, I just get absorbed by work. That is an absolute mood.
Now, another caved in says, I believe one of my issues with starting relationships is it always seems like I steer one direction while people are going the other. I reach out, but it seems very one-sided. I don't know if it's an issue with me thinking that, or if it's my personality. It's probably that people are super busy, but
Yeah. And and you know what? Personality types are mismatches are definitely a thing, but don't ever internalize that as there's something wrong with you. You are who you are. So you approach your relationships however you're most comfortable with. And I find that one thing I love about this space, especially the indie space, is everyone's extremely accepting. From my perspective, people are just finding ways to be very inclusive and making sure that they're accommodating for a variety of personality types. So, you know, nothing is wrong with me, just everyone else. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
well,
Yes.
there's somebody that I work with, and he is very, very short, right? And
Mhm.
I'm still me, so like I will get one sentence responses on Discord,
Oh,
but
he's
then
snippy.
I will type back like, yeah, it's always a snippet, but I will type back whatever it is that I'm talking about or thinking, and it may be a couple paragraphs, and I just roll with it. And I'm sure I accept him for him, and he accepts me for me, and it just I'll lay out a joke that I know is hilarious because it's funny, and then
Mhm.
I don't even get a response, and I just like, I'm sure he laughed.
Yeah. And and it's great just getting to know people and understanding that there's different personalities other than your own out there, and learning how to connect with them not only makes you a more accepting person, but it also helps you get along with a larger gamut of people so you can be more workable. And it's great. It's a great feeling to endeavor to have a collective success attitude towards your work in life. That's that's the way I see it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you connect with somebody, the most important thing is if we're going to bring it back to business, the key understanding here is understanding how you can help each other when you make a connection. It's not necessarily a what's in it for me, but what's how can we be awesome together? Because everyone has a specific role that they fill in this industry, and we all have skills and talents that got us our jobs, and we're all in this space together. It's how can I, a PR marketing guy, help you, and vice versa? How can we help each other be awesome and collectively succeed? Uh, and that is something that requires understanding of that person's role. So everyone has a fancy title that we have, and it usually means something and something else and something else and something else. So
Right.
it's really important to identify what they're responsible for so you can better assist them and drive specific efforts, opportunities, whatever it might be to them so you're helping them out.
I love that. The real question is how many exclamation marks is appropriate before you seem overly excited. So guilty. You know what? I know that I use a lot of exclamation marks in my email. So after I write my email, I go back through it and I go, oh, I
I
don't need
delete
three
some.
sentences. Yeah, I don't need three sentences in a row with exclamation marks. That's funny because I'm so guilty of that. Okay, Vixen Gamer, how can you provide value to others when you're completely new to the industry?
Oh my goodness. You know, that's a great question, and I just want to address that directly. You may be new to the industry, but that doesn't make you less talented or less important. You have a skill, and you more or less probably do it really well. So, understand and knowing your value and what you bring to the table is a very important thing. Um, and once you've internalized that, being humble about it, of course, but once you know what you can do and what you can offer, you can go from there. Just take it one step at a time.
I think that's kind of a mix between what we were talking about the last stream, imposter syndrome and
Yeah,
undervaluing yourself, right? Because
absolutely.
you're either undervaluing or it's like you. I guess imposter syndrome is undervaluing yourself. Um, it's a fine line, and I think it's always something I struggle with it all the time as well. With all of that, like what, why, how do people perceive you? It's hard to know that.
Right. Agreed. Um, Actually, one question by Zlud. What about LinkedIn as a social media for business connections? Okay. LinkedIn is a fantastic tool, especially for business, specifically for business. It's a business social media. I would suggest that whoever you endeavor to connect with on LinkedIn, make sure that there's a purpose and a goal. Like they're either in the same industry as you, or you are wanting to connect with them, because LinkedIn can be very notorious for just going, yep, connect, just for connecting with somebody, and then you have no common interest. It's very easy to get lost on that platform. So if you're going to connect with people on LinkedIn, have a goal and make sure that you're, as I mentioned before, endeavoring to have some sort of relationship or connection with your connections there.
There was another thing someone was talking about on Twitter, that Twitter, so many people use Twitter for promoting their game or promoting this or promoting that. But Twitter, it seems like, has become more people in the industry, people in industry or whatever, connecting with each other, right? Because if you were, promoting your game, you're really promoting it to people, to the majority of people that are also in the same industry, right? So it is kind of, it's becoming, it's more of, I feel like more of a business tool for connecting with people, instead of it just being social media. You know what I mean? It has kind of gone slowly shifted to that route.
Yeah. With social media, it's a weird beast. You want to be able to connect with people amongst your industry, but you also want to branch out. I'm very fortunate because I started off as a content creator, and then I had, I built my community around that, and then I ended up in industry, and then started building industry folks around my socials then. So it's a little weird, but one thing I would note, if you were wanting to open up your network a little bit, connect with a variety of people. Don't keep it focused on just industry folks. Keep it to people that you genuinely find interesting or you want to work with. It doesn't have to be, all press, all content creators, all industry folks. Mix it up, and don't be afraid. Make friends. Make friends everywhere.
Be friends with everyone.
Be friends with. I am, as you, if anyone couldn't tell, I am a very outgoing guy. So I like you. We are going to eat. It's really a fun little thing for me. I genuinely enjoy meeting people and connecting with them. I like you too, David. Everyone hates me. That's not true, Whitlock. I like you. I appreciated your positive energy since I started here, so thank you. And I'm very thankful for everyone who's watching on the variety of social medias. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for, taking time out of your day to come say hello to not only me, but the other wonderful speakers here today. It's really an honor. Sure, buy me lunch. Let's connect. Absolutely.
I like it. Yeah, I'm not sure you want to buy me lunch.
I do want to, because there's something special about sharing food or something very casual in a casual setting with somebody, which is my last and final point, is investing in the relationship. I love the segue was too perfect because if you enjoy connecting with somebody or you enjoy an interaction with someone, invest the time. It's so important to show that if you enjoy someone's company, you could work with them again. That's one thing, but have some personal time. Invite them like at an event especially, say, hey, I heard you were at PAX, or I hear you're coming to PAX. Do you want to go schedule a time to get some food? Invite like a few people and make it your treat if you can. That this is your time to show how much you really care and have a nice little relaxing time amongst friends where I'm not Richard from Akupara Games at this point. I'm just Richard,
Right.
and you're just Dan. And we're just having a fine time together,
And people
enjoying
like it when
food.
you buy them food.
Yes, uh, and it surpasses the act of buying someone food. It's the thought that counts because you wanted to do it and you scheduled the time to do it. You seek them out. So approaching that from your own perspective of what makes you feel most comfortable. Once a sentiment is there, you can't go wrong.
Mr. Cookie says, I tend to find it easier to connect or network whenever we both have a drink or beer in a hand. And
Oh
that
my
is fine.
gosh.
But, conferences are renowned for people drinking way too much and doing stupid shit. So, yeah, you got to rein back a little bit.
Yes. And you wanted to hear a funny story is one of the people I've worked with, he's one of my great mentors. He would go to events and he was a part of a hiring committee. And what he would do is we would all go to these events and he would like observe how somebody would act. I know it's like an interesting thing, but he would have just observed how someone would behave outside of work. And sometimes he would get like an impression it's not very legal, but it happens, and it's unfortunately a bias that permeates in most industries, and we have to be careful. We have to be careful because you never know. So
Just be appropriate. Yikes.
just be appropriate. I love him and all, but like that's a thing, and it's almost like me warning you. Just be careful, regardless. Whether it's right or wrong, be careful.
Yeah, because when you are at an event, you never know who's there, because there's a bunch of people you don't know. You never know who was what and where and what they do and who they know. And the games industry, even though it's huge, is really small. People know each other.
Little big planet.
You burn a bridge somewhere. It's not just one bridge you're burning because that person tells 10 people, yeah, this person did this and this and this.
And it doesn't matter if it's true or false. It happens, and people will listen to it and they'll take it as a law, and it's a horrible thing. One thing I will tell you guys on record, anything that we do when we're just hanging out and being people will always stay amongst us. It's almost like an unwritten rule, especially in indies, which is why I appreciate indies so much, because that is sacred. We're not out here trying to burn bridges or stab people in the back. We're a big community and a loving family. I've seen it firsthand working in the industry for a few years now. It's something that makes us so radically different and refreshing. It's what makes me proud to work in this space, for sure.
Oh, here we go. This is an interesting comment. Angel Star Studios. That's a good point. I try to connect with people who have good circles because I know it was expand. I try to avoid certain circles I don't like because I don't want to get more of their following.
Angel, yes, absolutely. That's why I was watching a TED Talk a couple of days ago, and it's the concept of people who hang out with you. They hang out with you because they believe what you believe, attracting that specific audience or people, friends. They usually hang out with you because they believe what you believe. So I would say seek out people with that similar mindset. It's okay to break out of your circles a little bit and get to know and have some feelers, because you just never know who else you might vibe with. But yeah, positivity or just a really good group of people usually attracts a good group of people, and you can stay amongst that.
Yeah, that is true. But I mean, also, I hang out with a lot of people that have different political beliefs than I do,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of people. So, it may or may, I just don't get into discussions with them, but
Yeah, it can get hairy really quick, and
right.
it also, as much as I want to say that I want to hang out with people who are like-minded, it's great. Having people with, opposite views, depending, that's a big, I'm holding up like a big sign saying it all depends. You want to be able to have people who can challenge you in a positive way, because that will only elicit growth.
Mhm.
That will only help you grow and have a wider perspective. And once you can have a mutual respect, if they respect your opinion and you can respect theirs, I think that's room for that's a winning combination.
I agree. Oh, here we got. So here we got it. Ron Jones, the artist. Any advice on how to create more spaces for those communities to grow and thrive, like support groups or incubators?
Any advice on how to create more spaces for those communities to grow and thrive? I would say that if you are wanting to start one yourself, I would say make sure you have, I almost want to say a mission statement, but if you have a core group of
Value.
beliefs
Mhm.
and values, define them, and then put it out there. Like if maybe a Discord or a forum or
Facebook group.
Facebook group, define your values, tell your friends, and have it spread that way. And then make sure you're consistently engaging with the appropriate content going forward. I hope that answered your question. If you want to elaborate a little bit more, feel free to ask me. I'll answer it as best as I can. Thank you for your question. But at the end of the day, bridge burning is what I major in. Burning bridges, you just have to be careful with that. I rather not burn bridges, but I leave that bridge alone and I don't cross it anymore. Because when you go out in a fit of flaming glory, it resonates in a very bad way, and it reflects poorly on you usually, and that sucks. But I probably got the idea that you were joking, and you're so yes,
Or maybe not.
or maybe not. I think at the end of the day, when you're investing in a relationship, what I want people to get from the ending point is just give a damn, just care. I want people to show interest in this industry because we are, like I said, a family. Everyone here knows somebody who knows somebody who knows you. And, spending a little bit of time out of your day to just reach out and say, to check on someone and how they're doing. I do it with this one indie. They're fantastic. I have them on Instagram. So what I do is I send them video messages. Now, that's my personality type for sure. I check in with them. I say, "Hey, I'm doing well. I'm doing this, this, and this. What are you guys doing? Are you okay?" And when they have a chance, they send me video messages back, and we maintain a relationship that way. You could also create events or opportunities to have a virtual get together and play and talk and chat, because especially now with this pandemic, it makes everything difficult. I attend this wonderful gathering on Fridays where we break out into rooms and we connect with people. It's the closest thing we have to events, and it makes me really, really happy to know that I can look forward to these events to connect with people and continue to have friends, especially during a hard time, and people I could work with.
Here's a little comment from Dentus. An advice I have to avoid bad conversations was to have a half full drink. It can be water, so you can
Mhm.
use it as an excuse to leave. It works when you have your foot in your mouth too.
You just yeah, it's one of those moments when the conversation's getting really awkward. You see people like awkwardly sipping on their beverage and they're like
Uh,
chugging it down. It's that's an absolute mood. And if you are feeling uncomfortable with a conversation, don't feel like depending on the situation. If it's one on one, it's really hard to eject out of it or segue. But if you're in a group, you could
slowly slide
it's
out,
like
or you can just be like me and look at them and go, "You're like, I gotta go."
yeah,
That's when your care level drops. You're just like, I gotta go. I'm
it's
done
like
with this. I'm done with this conversation.
I'm the type of person that just changes the subject. So I'm like, so
Uh-huh.
potatoes. And they go, yeah, I love French fries. And then we have this conversation about French fries for half an hour because I approach things in a very hilarious way.
Mhm.
I deal with awkward situations with humor.
I do too, but I'm also blunt. Like I will straight up look at somebody and say, "This conversation sucks," But
Oh my
I think
gosh,
it's blunt,
Dan.
but it's also funny, right? This
True.
conversation is not good, right? Here's a question from Lulu. How do you suggest we deal with people who don't get social cues? And there's a lot of people that don't. I don't want to. I don't get hints sometimes. My wife tells me this all the time. This person was da da da, and I'm like, really? I was oblivious because I don't know. Maybe it's my extrovertedness or
Hmm.
my ability to say this conversation sucks to somebody's face. I don't want to burn bridges by being too straightforward, but I also want to keep my boundaries. So, how do you suggest to deal with that?
So it is really difficult to navigate that. There's no real one answer to that question. But when people don't understand social cues, when you're let's use an example of wanting to eject or leave because you have another engagement or you have to simply go, you're done with the conversation. Um just asserting it in a very polite manner is very important, especially in industry or even life situations. Being able to go, hey, I appreciate you. I enjoy the conversation. Be honest, but I have to go or I'm not comfortable with this scenario. Being a little bit more vocal in a polite manner. So people should have respect for you if you're not feeling 100%. And if they're not moving or they're going to continue, then you have to put your foot down, regardless of professional courtesy or not.
Yeah.
That now you're moving into a territory where they are now not respecting you as a person, and you have to be a little bit more terse.
I think now that I think a little bit on it, I probably pissed some people off because I have straight up said to somebody, dude, that is a fucked up opinion, right? And that, I mean, with using those words specifically, but of course, it was probably something that was really wrong. And, maybe they got mad, maybe they didn't. I'm not sure, I
Hmm.
don't take social cues well,
Yeah,
but, that is not, I wouldn't advise that for everyone to say, but, you know,
we're a variety of people in
right.
a very varietal space. It's fantastic. So
And I,
it
I also feel like I could say that to somebody and then laugh, and then they would laugh as well. Like, yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know.
I go instead of I would go, well, that's an opinion.
Yeah, that one too. Right. That's a thought. Just to
Just
hold that thought and then leave.
hold that thought. Or if I see somebody I know, I'd go, oh my gosh, I'll be right back. But there's plenty of ways to, I don't want to teach everyone how to just run away from a conversation. Like just go, hey, I left something in the oven and you're in like a PAX event. I really
Oh my
want,
God, my refrigerator's running.
yeah, and I need to catch it. Um, you you definitely want to master the art of being able to just gracefully ejecting out of a conversation or telling somebody, that's not okay.
Mhm.
I personally don't enjoy where this conversation is going. If you're backed into a corner and you have to like address it, say it and call it good because your comfort matters too.
Right.
Your comfort matters too.
Here we go. Lulu says, "Thank you for the answer. Guess that's the thing I'll try to figure out all of my life. It's always for sure." Greet
You'll
says, "Oh, go
takes
ahead."
time. Oh, I was gonna say, Lulu. Yeah, it in the 45 minutes. You know, I'm not expecting anyone to have like, okay, now I figured it out. You have to approach it your way, and it's going to take time. But starting to do it, just like anything, riding a bike, practicing an instrument, or anything like that, it takes time, and you'll find your stride within time. You just have to try it.
And
But
it is fluid. It's something that will change. My attitude has changed over the years.
mhm.
Greach, no real question for me, but I wanted to say that you've got an awesome watermelon shirt.
Thank you very much. I love novelty print stuff, and it's fun. Especially at this time where you just need to dress it up a little bit and have fun. Yeah, novelty print is one of my favorite things. Thank you.
Oh
I
my
really
gosh.
appreciate that.
Okay, so I mean I ride Harleys, right? I hang out with bikers, but I don't wear jeans. I wear jammy pants all the time. So I have jammy pants on, like under my chaps, and
Really?
yeah. Oh yeah. So today, this may be weird. I've got my
No, it's not weird.
my Bob Ross pajama pants on.
Guys, can we get some claps in chat? Can we get some claps?
I hang out with these mean bad bikers, and they're like, "Oh, what are you wearing today?" And I'm like, "These are my Rick and Morty jamma pants." Whitlock. Quick question, Whitlock. You are the Whitlock that I've role played with on quite a few occasions, right? I just that's what I think. Is that the case, Whitlock? That we role played. What was the first one? Oh, you role played as the print? No. Oh, okay. Because I role played with somebody, Whitlock, many on many occasions. Okay. My friends tell me I'm an acquired taste because it's hard to understand when I'm joking and when I'm not, and also I'm extremely honest. I don't want to fake who I am just to be liked.
Never fake who you are, man. Never. Right. It's hard because we're in this environment where we're trying to always be polite, and we're avoiding trying to sound like we're the a-hole in the room. But sometimes being blunt and direct is very much needed. If you are concerned about how harsh you're coming off, that's on you to self-reflect. I'm never going to tell you to change who you are, right? But it is something to look at, because as Dan said, we're always changing, and as time progresses, we're going to do some self-reflection and see what we need to change about ourselves. But don't change because a few people have told you that you're an acquired taste. You're your own unique human being, and that's what makes you you, and that makes you unique. So I wouldn't say change for someone else. Change because you feel like it's a necessary change.
And I would take that as a compliment. You're an acquired taste. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's funny. Yeah, one of my very dear friends is like that. Everything he says is a sarcastic comment that is funny, but he is also, so sometimes it's hard to tell if he's serious or not. I have just learned that all of his sarcastic comments are really what he feels and thinks anyways. And so I just tell him to F off.
Sometimes, and that sometimes you need to like, you got to hit them with it, right?
Oh yeah.
because that's what they resonate with is, mm-hmm. Hey, you're being a jerk. And they're like, I like that. And you're like, yeah. So sometimes knowing how to communicate with somebody is the way to go. I saw Sin Splitter's comment.
Yeah. One important thing is to stay true to yourself. It's of course okay to accommodate to people and their needs in this situation, but in the end, don't change the way you are just to please everyone.
100%. Absolutely. Making sure that, identity is a very important thing. I learned in therapy, where just knowing who you are, and the base of that is you are who you are. Mm-hmm. And accepting that and having that acceptance within yourself will be your guiding light and principle for how you approach your life and your relationships going forward. So just be cognizant of that, and don't take things too much to heart. Take things with a grain of salt, unless it's rooted in a place where you are in a bad place or you're going in a horrible direction and people are just trying to help you.
Yeah. And it's hard to know that too sometimes.
It is.
It's hard to know. People are hard.
People are difficult.
People
Yeah.
are difficult.
I think it's good if your friends are honest with you. Whitlock, yes. Agree.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, my one friend, people are hard. That I have to be honest. I mean, and he thinks I will be honest right back at to him. Like he is great. He can fix anything, a refrigerator, air conditioning, a car. And so I tell him, I'm like, man, you can fix anything except for your relationships, because he is not very good at his relationships. And he looked at me and he just started laughing, because that's sometimes people just need that truth. And so now that's his saying, I can fix anything but my own relationships.
Yes, and I think that's the glory of having people with a multiple faceted relationship with different people, because there's always somebody that's good at something, and those people tend to have your back in these difficult times.
Yep. Whitlock, I'm one of those people who doesn't back his friends no matter what if he is wrong.
Good.
There's a fine line with that, right? And I've learned that, like, if my wife does something that I think is wrong, that's between me and her, right? But if she does something that is wrong and somebody calls her out on it, I have her back, right? Don't you talk to my wife that way. And I don't ever you're wrong in front of people, but we will go and have a conversation about it privately later. But I will have her back when it comes to the way that other people are talking to her. And I feel like that way with my friend too. If my friend is doing something totally wrong and people are coming down on him, I'm like, dude, you back off, right? I've got my friend's back, but if he's wrong, I'm definitely going to talk to him about it later. You know what I mean?
You definitely, absolutely should have someone's back, but it really does depend.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to encourage somebody who, even if I see him as a friend, if they're doing something really bad or they're having a very horrible take on something and they're pushing that narrative hard and it's hurting a lot of people, I'm not going to outwardly tell everyone he is right or she is right. They are right. It's like, oh my God, look, I love you. You are my friend. But please, this is not the way to do it. You know what I mean?
In private,
I show my support differently, because I don't want to cut the relationship off. Right? That's not the way to do it. But if they're wrong, you have to stand up for what's right. And that's very important. You have to navigate that well, because you don't want people to you don't want that person to push that message out and then you supporting that through silence.
But you also want your friend to know that you are going to be there, no matter what, right? So if it's like in public, you just take them aside, right? Like I wouldn't call my friends out in public. Well, maybe depending on who it was and what they did, but it's a depends thing.
I'm a DM guy. I'd be like,
dude,
look,
chill. Yeah.
Or sometimes if I'm really close with that person, it's a phone call. It's a phone call. They know it's serious when we use that ancient art of dialing somebody's number and they're receiving a phone call from me. They're like, oh, wow, Richard's calling me? Well, I wonder what happened.
Well, what did I do now?
And I'd be like, hey, I saw this. The ancient art of phone calls is literally what I have on the list, on my actual talk, where if you want to check in with somebody or see how they're doing, sometimes I use the example of the Instagram video messaging, but the ancient art of a phone call goes a long way. Even for wishing them congratulating them, we can always tweet them, but send them a DM. That's great. A phone call, if you really know them, is even better.
Right.
Stuff like that goes a long way.
Well, this has been awesome, Richard. I super appreciate this. I've got to get over to the next talk to get it ready. Let's see, who do we got here? Who do we got next? I'm gonna have to get to it. I didn't have it open on one of my mini screens for some reason. Next up, we have the art of negotiation.
Awesome. Can I have some closing words before I run away?
Closing words. That's with Tom. Is that with Tom? That's with Tom. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
I just want to say thank you to every single one of you for being here. If you guys didn't know, you guys can follow me on Twitter at @animatedbreak. I work for Occupier Games. I do their marketing strategy, and I want to say that this is especially very special for me because this is my first industry talk that I've ever done, and every single one of you were a part of it. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here and giving me your time. And this is dedicated to a friend of mine named Chase. He got me started in industry on Twitch, and he taught me the art of maintaining good relationships and making good friends. I love you, buddy. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next talk. See ya. Thanks, Richard.
Bye.